Have you ever felt like someone was against you? A coworker, a family member, or even a perfect stranger? And you felt like they were trying to sabotage you, destroy your reputation, or even just make life bad for you? If you have, today we're going to talk about how oppositions actually creates value in the opportunity. Now, I know you're probably thinking, how can that be? Well, today we're going to learn about a man by the name of Nehemiah who was on a fantastic mission. What was part of his mission? Well, he was the cupbearer for the king, and he received some bad news about what was happening back home. The bad news was the people were in great affliction. They had great shame and reproach. The walls in the city were torn down, and the gates in the city were burned. And Nehemiah understood that these people had great pride because he had great pride. But he also recognized that, you know what? It also represented their expectations about life. And you know, sometimes our environment, I wouldn't say sometimes, a lot of times our environment is a reflection of our expectations. So what did Nehemiah do? Nehemiah exchanged his perspective for God's perspective. And how did he do that? He did it through prayer. The scripture said, the story says that he wept, he mourned, he fasted, and he prayed, and he confessed, and he admitted to God that he was part of the problem, and that he and his family and everybody had turned from God's ways, and he wanted to turn to God. And he asked God to bless the king in order the king to allow him to go back and rebuild the wall and fix everything the way it should be, and matter of fact, make it better. And so guess what? The king, oh my goodness, Nehemiah goes through this process to where the king gives him everything that he needs. He gives him a passport, he gives him the products, and he even gives him protection. And so now here it is, Nehemiah is back in Jerusalem, and he is getting ready to get back. And don't you know, every time you get ready to do something brand new, every time that you get ready to step out into a new realm, every time you get ready to say, you know what, I'm going to another level, you need to know that you're going to have some opposition. But I also want you to know that the opposition is going to create value in the opportunity. So let's pick up in this story. And we're reading from Nehemiah, the 2nd chapter, the 10th verse, the 10th through the 18th verse. And I'm going to pull out 3 specific things that I want you to take away, because so many times we focus on the opposition in our life. What they call them haters. And some people say, well, haters are going to hate. Yeah, that's what they do. As a matter of fact, sometimes when I hear them, I say that haters are actually drinking haterade. But that's my way to laugh about it and not put so much focus and emphasis on them, because at the end of the day, when people are hating on you, that's just another sign that what you're doing is really, really important. And so you got to see it that way. But what did Nehemiah do? Nehemiah, let's pick up in the story. In the 10th verse, it says, when Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the servant, the Anamite, heard of it, when they heard of it, what did they hear? They heard that Nehemiah was coming back to rebuild the wall. The scripture says that it grieved them exceedingly that there was come a man to seek the welfare of the children of Israel. Listen, don't you know that when you step out and you get ready to help people and make things better for people, everyone is not going to appreciate that. Everyone is not going to be excited about that. You need to know that. But so now steps out these 3 people, these 2 guys. Of course, they're going to add another guy to the story, but Sanballat and Tobiah. These people are stepping out and they're saying, who does Nehemiah think he is? He's coming to help these folks. And don't you know, when you step out to help someone is going to be standing around saying the same thing about you. So don't be shocked and surprised. Don't be upset and mad about it. Just know what? Just know this. It's all part of the process. Okay? So what happens then? Nehemiah, in the 11th verse, he said, so I came to Jerusalem and I was there 3 days. And I arose in the night, I and some few men with me, neither told I any man what God had put in my heart to do in Jerusalem, neither was there any beast with me, save the beast that I rode on. So the first thing that Nehemiah did is he didn't talk about the opposition. He didn't focus on the opposition. He didn't highlight the opposition. You know what he did? He embraced it. How you say, how did he embrace it? First thing he did, he got up at night. You see, if he didn't embrace it, he would have went in the daytime to try to start trouble. See, some of us, we're so focused on when we do things, we're thinking about, well, I'm going to do this because I want them to come at me. I want them to come out and say something. I'm going to do it out in the open so they can come out so I can put them in that place. Nehemiah's like, you know what? I'm going to embrace his opposition. And you know why I'm going to embrace it? Because I'm going at night. I don't have time to fool with them because there's a task that I have to do. You see, he embraced it. What else? He didn't have a lot of folks with him. He went at night and he didn't have a lot of folks with him. And even the folks that he had with him, he didn't tell them all the things that God had put on his heart. You see, some of us, we're talking too much. We're telling the whole world what we're trying to do, what we're working on, and we just promoting. And the only thing we're really doing is we're calling out all the haters. We're calling out all the opposition to come against you. That's all you're doing. Nehemiah, he went at nighttime. He took a few people with him. He didn't tell anybody what God put on his heart. As a matter of fact, the beast that he was riding in, he didn't even take that. He walked in. You know why? Because Nehemiah recognized, let me embrace all this opposition. I'm going to embrace it because I'm on a mission. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to embrace it. The 13th verse, he says, and I went out by night by the gate of the valley, even before the dragon well, and to the Dun port, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates thereof were consumed with fire. 14. Then I went on to the gate of the fountain and to the king's pool, but there was no place for the beast that was under me to pass. Then went I up into the night by the brook, and viewed the wall, and turned back, and entered the gate by the valley, so returned. So here's the second thing that he did. The first thing that he did was embraced it. The second thing he did is he expected it. Now, what are you talking about? Well, you have to and before you can inspect things, you have to expect things. So that's what he was doing. He was expecting all of this opposition because he knew that he needed to go and inspect the walls, inspect the pool, inspect the gates, right? So you got to learn how to expect this opposition. That's what he did. And I love that because when you expect something, you're going to inspect some things, right? When you expect opposition in the work that you're trying to do, you're going to inspect it. Why? Because you're going to focus solely on the work. So he embraced it. Now he's expecting it. What happened after that? And the 16th verse, and the rulers knew not whether I went or what I did. Neither had I yet told to the Jews, nor the priests, nor the nobles, nor to the rulers, nor to the rest that did the work. 18. Then I said unto them, this is why I love, this is where it really, really gets good to me. Ye see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come, let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more reproach. Then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, as also the king's words, that he would spoken unto me. And they said, let us rise and build. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. I love that. You know why I love that? Because first, he embraced it. He expected it. Now he's going to excel in the work. And how did he do that? He was reminding them the distress that we are in. He didn't say the distress that y'all are in. He made him a part of the issue. He said, I'm in all of this. Guess what? I'm in distress too. Even though the walls are in distress, the gates are in distress, I am also in distress, and you are as well. And then he said, let us build up the wall. He didn't say, let me, let y'all. He said, let us. And then he said that we be no more of a reproach. He's saying, We need to get rid of all this shame. You know why? Because how Jerusalem looks is a reflection of us. We need to get rid of this shame. And I'm telling you, a lot of us out here, we're focusing so much on our opposition that we're not looking at the opportunity. We're focusing on what people are saying about us. We're focusing on what they're talking about us. And in the meantime, the things that we're trying to fix is still representing us. Nehemiah is telling us today, take your eyes off the opposition and focus on the opportunity. I love what happened then. He said, then I told them of the hand of my God. You see, Nehemiah didn't talk about the king. He didn't talk about the resources. He didn't talk about the products. He said, the hand of my God. And told me the words, he's saying, our God. Then he said, and the king's words. He had everything in its proper place. When you're going to excel in your opportunity, you're going to keep everything in its proper place. He said, a hand of my God. Now he's talking about the king's words, because guess what? He is out there on the word of the king because he had a passport. He had the products. He even had protection. Then what happened? And he said, so they strengthened their hands for the good work. You see, once you begin to focus on what you have, when you begin to focus on the value, your hands are going to be prepared to do the good work. And don't you know they did the good work? They did the good work. It took them 52 days. 52 days to do exactly what God called him to do. And he led the people. But he didn't lead the people by focusing on the opposition. He didn't lead the people by talking about Tobiah and Sanballat. He didn't put so much effort and energy into what they were doing. And that's what we need to learn how to do, people. We need to learn how to focus on our opportunity. So when you have opposition, hey, your opposition is just to let you know that what you're doing is really, really important. And you need to know that when you have opportunities, everyone is not going to be cheering for you. Everyone is not going to be pulling for you. Everyone is not going to be patting you on the back. So you need to go ahead and embrace that. But you also need to know that when you have opposition, it's going to create the value in your opportunity. And how is it going to do that? It's going to encourage you to do three things. It's going to encourage you to embrace the opposition. It's going to encourage you to expect the opposition. And when you expect the opposition, you need to inspect your work, right? And then the last thing is, it's going to show you how to excel with your work. Because at the end of the day, that's what your opposition comes to do. It comes to create value in your opposition. Let's do this today. Don't focus so much on your haters. Haters are going to hate, but workers are going to work. That's what I love. Haters are going to hate, but workers are going to work. And guess what? I remember what Jesus said to us. He said, you can do what I came here. You can do what I've done. I'm in you and you also in me. If he did the work, if he can overcome, guess what? We can overcome. So I'm fired. I'm excited about this. So listen, don't spend so much time on your haters, on your opposition. Focus on the opportunity at hand and get to work. I hope these words bless you today. If you know someone out there who is focusing on their haters, focus on the opposition, what they're saying about you, what they're talking about you. Hey, if you know someone like that, send them this video. Let them hear these words and let Nehemiah's story encourage them like it encouraged you. Look forward to seeing you soon. Peace.